Boo. Sunday. It's Sunday.
It's Sunday Funday. Welcome in, everyone. I am Murder Mystery. I'm Murder Mystery. I am BB3 with Murder Mystery on History, and this is Nettie with MelNetteLivingFreeZipCodeless. If
Yeah.
you are on my channel right now, you can find Nettie's link down below. If you're on her channel, I think you can find my link down below as well.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Grab both of the channels if you can. We're streaming to two different channels tonight, every Sunday night. And if you're on one side or the other, make sure you go to the other channel and just say hello and click that thumbs up button, vice versa.
Yes.
Show support to both if you don't mind. With that being said, tonight's story covers two scenarios, I guess how I'd say that. And so we'll do a little short story for one, and we'll do another a bit longer story for the other. So it's not all written into one long story, but they connect. They connect. You'll see. It'll all work out in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just to give an explanation to that, it's going to not seem as cohesive as normal, but you'll see when we get going. And then, do you have any announcements you want to make right away, or?
No, other than that, BB3's link is in the about page of the live stream, and we try to support one another, and we always let our chat know that, if you go from one stream to another, some of them are confused, and we want them to be aware that you're going to see exactly what you see here, just on the other side. Yeah,
Yes.
so we truly love linking our live streams together.
Perfect. All right. So let me get over here and welcome everyone in. We have Misha.
Yeah,
Misha.
Misha Lee. Yeah.
And then we
used
have
to say Leah, but it's Misha Lee.
then we have Mr. Tommy Travels. Hello and welcome.
Tommy.
We have Hitch Up in Tow. We have Catherine Cook. Hello and welcome. The real Robert Rockwell.
Yay.
We have Miss Katie Lynn. We have Mr. Joe. Hello. We have Miss Kim. Hello.
Welcome.
All right. And as people come in, we'll welcome them in. But let's go ahead and get the story up there because I know it might go over just a little bit tonight.
Oh,
so
okay.
Let's grab it up here and I'll let you start.
Okay. Ooh, I love how it looks. Fire Captain Robert Dawes. 2 women found dead. 1 man connects Sarah Sweeney and Grace Holland to crimes.
So I will explain that Sarah Sweeney is also known as Dr. Catherine Sarah Sweeney or Dr. Sarah Catherine Sweeney.
Oh, wow.
So just she's got a few names.
And did I pronounce his last name right? Is it Dawes?
Yeah, I believe it's Dawes.
Okay. Oh, they're beautiful.
Aren't they?
Yeah. 39 and 35.
Yeah, we have Robert 50, Dr. Sarah Catherine Sweeney 39, and Grace Holland 35.
Wow.
Hello, Jen Joy.
Yes, thank you for coming in, Jen. Okay. Who was Sarah Sweeney? Born November 2nd, 1984, Sarah Sweeney was a doctor and a podiatrist from Huntington, West Virginia. According to her obituary, Sweeney did her own surgical residency in Miami before moving to Port Arthur, Texas. After living in Florida, she opened her practice in Creve-Coeur? How do you say that? Yeah, Creve-Coeur, Missouri. At the age of 6, she was diagnosed with a rare and painful condition called Perthes disease.
Hello, Larice Jusay.
Hello, Larice.
You know what? I forgot I know what it is, but I forgot. If someone wants to Google the definition for the Perthes disease and drop that in the chat, I would
Yeah.
greatly appreciate it. And
I was just trying to figure it out myself.
Larice, thank you so much for sharing us out. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Louise.
Dr. Sarah Kathleen Sweeney,
She looks so young to be a doctor.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Sarah Sweeney on January 13th of 2024, 39-year-old. So this just happened, guys, on January 13th.
Oh my goodness.
January 13th of 2024, 39-year-old Sarah died at the home she shared with her fiance, local fire captain Robert Dawes of St. Louis. Frontenac police said that Sarah had no apparent signs of trauma. She suffered from a life-threatening condition, according to her lawyer. But her autopsy results are still pending and the investigation is ongoing. A CBS affiliate, KMOV, reported the investigation into her death is still ongoing. Westwood, Missouri, First Alert 4. There is information Tuesday in the sudden death of a woman at a local's firefighter's house in Westwood on Saturday. Oh, I forgot two announcements. One, these are our opinions. These are just information I found on the internet. Don't take anything I say as fact. Make sure you do your own research.
Yes. Yes.
And the second one is that any and all articles that we read from are cited in the description below also. I think I covered all the legal bases.
Yeah.
All right, here is some answers. Perthes disease is an uncommon condition that affects children between the ages of 3 and 11 years old. Blood supply to the head of the thigh bone is disrupted, which causes bone deterioration. This can cause pain, limping, and limited movement in the hip joint.
Oh, wow.
All right. And then we have Step Van Dan came on in. Hello,
Yes.
hello. About 60% of children with Perthes disease recover without any treatment. So I wonder if that's not the life-threatening disease then. I wonder if she had something else on top of it. Fortunately, Perthes disease can respond well to treatment in most cases. After 2 to 5 years of treatment or observation, many children can return to their normal activities without limitations.
Oh,
You guys are awesome being over there looking up all that for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Okay. Her attorney, speaking to First Alert 4 Investigates, stated that she absolutely had a life-threatening condition. However, her autopsy results are still pending. Sweeney's death has so far been classified as a sudden death only. The medical examiner's office informed us that an autopsy has been completed, but they are awaiting toxicology reports, which could take 4 to 6 weeks. In court records filed in November of 2022, Sweeney claimed she had been harassed at her previous employer and indicated serious medical conditions, including a bone disorder and mast cell activation disorder. She had been hospitalized and
Intubated.
intubated in 2021.
Yes. Hitchup and Toe said, this is just off the top of his head. He gave that.
Oh, yeah, Mark.
Okay, sorry to do this to you guys again, but how about cell activation disorder?
Yeah.
Throw that out there for us. Sorry, guys. This is a big story, and I'm not as good at Nettie as putting the stories together.
Oh,
but
you're wonderful, BB.
I'm getting better. We're getting there. All right. On Tuesday, her attorney in that case told First Alert 4 Investigates that she had spoken to Sweeney recently, stating that Sweeney absolutely had a life-threatening condition, but it was not related to what was outlined in the suit. The attorney declined to provide further details about the condition. First Alert 4 Investigates has reached out to the attorney representing the firefighter, who has not yet provided us with a comment. He is being sued by Grace Holland's family for wrongful death,
Mm.
but the case is still pending. We also spoke with Sweeney's family again Tuesday, who said they hadn't spoken to her in 2 years. I want you all to remember this part. Her family had not spoken to her in 2 years, and she had been dating the firefighter for about 2 years. So just
Oh.
keep that in mind as we move forward. They too are hoping for more clarity about what happened. We will certainly keep following this and bring you more as it develops. So that was KMOV's article and what they had to say about Dr. Catherine Sarah and Sweeney, Sarah Catherine Sweeney. To be clear, I guess because she was a doctor, it was very hard to find anything about her. It's just basically, here's what happened. That's it. And there were 2 pictures on the internet of her, maybe 4 or 5. But the other ones weren't very clear. Those are the only really clear pictures we were able to find on her. So, idiopathic mast cell activation syndrome, MCAS, is a condition in which the patient experiences repeated episodes of symptoms of anaphylaxis, allergic symptoms such as hives and swelling, low blood pressure, difficulty breathing, and severe diarrhea. Sorry,
Oh, my.
that just seems so different than the rest of what was being said.
Yeah.
Difficulty breathing, low blood pressure, and then poop, you got the poops too.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to get into what happened several years ago. That's Dr. Sarah.
Kathleen Sweeney. Man, she's so pretty.
Isn't she?
Mark.
Gives you the shits as well.
What a combination.
And
Yeah.
these are literally the only pictures we were able to find. This is her and Robert Doss.
Oh, my.
All right. So now we're going to move into his ex.
Okay. I may need help with this word. Is it
Creve Coeur.
Creve Coeur? Okay.
Mhm.
Creve Coeur, Missouri. On the morning of July 22nd, 2020, Laura Holland woke up to a chilling Facebook message. Is it true your sister is dead? The message was from a teacher at Laura's niece's school. The teacher had heard the news of a parent death from the school's resource officer.
Can you imagine somebody
Yeah.
calling you and just being like, "Is your sister dead?" And you're like, "What?"
Oh, wow.
I could think the person that made that phone call maybe should have thought a little bit more
Yeah.
prior to doing that.
Wow.
Look
wow.
how gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right? Nice thing to text, right? Hitch up and toe.
Yeah.
Like, have a little bit of decency.
Mm.
This is how Laura first heard the news that her twin sister, 35-year-old Grace Howland, the best friend she'd known her entire life, sat next to for 12 years through Catholic school and shared all of her birthdays with, was dead. I was in shock, says Laura. She called her other sister, who works in drug rehabilitation, and who put her on the phone with a crisis counselor. Now that's a good friend. They put her on the phone with a crisis counselor.
Yeah.
She called her parents and heard men's muffled voices in the background. She knew they had just been told the news.
Man. That is so sad. Oh, twin sister, Laura and Grace. Oh,
I know, Kimmy, I know.
yeah.
I'll read this. I know it's a little bit difficult to read, but
Okay.
so that these 2 pictures are the same. This is the more clear one. I pulled them from Facebook, and this one's beating the heat. Pictured front to back is Laura Holland, then Grace Holland, Ashley. This is what the article reads at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ashley, who will be 10 on July 13th. These 3 students are from St. Francis of Assisi School. Enjoy the summer vacation as they cool off by the pool. So this was taken when the girls were kids, and it was in the newspaper. It was pretty cool.
Aww.
Self-induced explosive lead poisoning is not how a doctor would end. Yeah. Well, this one's not doctor. This one we're getting ready to read here is not a doctor, but you'll see why that doesn't seem like what would happen with this girl either.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Laura remembers hearing her mother's voice on the phone, begging her over and over, don't drive anywhere. The same day, one of Grace Holland's 4 daughters was eagerly waiting for her mom to come home so they could go shoe shopping together. But Grace never showed up, and her daughter never saw her mother alive again.
4 daughters, and she was supposed to be headed over to pick her daughter up to go shoe shopping.
Wow. Oh, how precious.
That's 3 of her daughters. Absolutely gorgeous kids.
Oh, wow.
At about 5 a.m. that morning, Grace had been fatally shot in the head in the Creve Coeur, Missouri home she shared with her fiancé, 47-year-old Robert Rob Doss. Doss was calling the death a suicide. Grace's family wasn't so sure. I have the 911 call that he made. And I think now would be a good time to play it because I'd like you guys to hear the 911 call before we move forward. It's not easy to hear, especially after just seeing her with her kids. But I'm going to go ahead and get that pulled up for us.
Okay.
You guys will have to let me know if you can hear the sound. It's not playing just yet. Apparently we're on a loop here. Hold on.
My fiance.
Can you hear the sound?
I can hear it.
Okay.
My fiance just shot herself.
Your fiance just shot herself?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Remember, everybody, I have to pause several times as we're listening this to do commentary, or I get a copyright strike. So please don't be annoyed with me for talking. If you want to see it for yourself, I'll share the link. But I have to talk in it.
It's a mortal wound.
Okay.
I'm a captain with the fire district with Maryland Heights.
Okay. Okay, let me connect you over to Central County, okay?
I'm a fire captain.
And he's not even upset. He doesn't sound emotionally upset to me.
You just walked in and it's a mortal wound, he said.
Hang on 1 second. So are you out in St. Charles, or is that where she's at?
No, Creve Coeur.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like he's crying at all.
No.
You just walked in and found your fiance. I don't care if you don't like her or not. I don't care if you hated her. You walked in and found somebody unalive. You'd be a wreck.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in, Lebo.
It's West Central with a transfer. What's the emergency there?
My fiance shot herself.
She shot herself? Where?
She shot herself in the head. It's a mortal injury.
She shot herself in the head. It's a mortal injury. She shot herself in the head. It's a mortal injury. No emotion.
Yeah.
I'm a captain of Maryland Heights. She's unconscious.
Did you notice how many times he has said, I'm a fire captain in Maryland Heights? I'm a fire captain in Maryland Heights. So, So.
Mm.
Okay, sir. I'm sorry. So she is beyond.
Yes, that's correct. I just need an office.
All right. So hopefully you guys heard that all clearly, but
That isn't going to be a scene that just isn't going to look gory. You know what I mean? I can only imagine how that looks, and for him to be on the phone acting like, oh, she's unalive, shot herself. You know what I mean? That don't
Yeah.
make any sense to me.
Yeah, it breaks my heart. That phone call. The first time I heard that phone call, I was just like sick to my stomach. So no, he could be calm because of his experience. So I thought that too. As a fire captain, because he works with the fire department, because he's seen a lot of things, that may be why he's very calm. However, I was hoping somebody in the comments would say that. I
Mhm.
actually talked to some people that work in that area, and they said absolutely not. There are two different people. There is the work them, and then there is the personal life them. And if they ever seen something with one of their relatives, there's absolutely no way that they could stay calm. Depending as what he has seen as a fire captain. Yes, I thought about that, but that's why I reached out to some friends and was like, hey, is it possible? And they were like, absolutely not. You can remain calm, cool, and collected in work, but you have to remove yourself from the scene of an accident if it's a family or a friend, because you on the scene can't even keep yourself calm. As someone in the field, your body's natural instinct can't totally be stopped by any training. Yeah, that's why they make you pull yourself away. If you're out and it happens to be one of your friends or something, they will not let you near it because you won't make the right choices. Possibly not make the right choices, I guess is. Okay, let's put the story back up. We read this one, right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. I forgot. Did I read the last one or?
No, this one's yours.
Okay. The fire captain. Grace Holland was a petite woman with deep brown eyes, a huge glittery smile, and a perky demeanor. When Grace first met Rob Dawes, she had 4 daughters from a previous marriage, and she was impressed by the Porsche driving Maryland Heights fire captain, who was well known and liked throughout the tight knit community, including among law enforcement and other first responders who often work hand in hand. Dawes, who has a son of his own from a previous relationship, had even once served as a district interim fire chief, the highest command position on the force.
Tommy said that's why doctors won't operate on their friends. I'm sorry, but there is still some sort of emotion involved in that sort of situation. Yeah. Joe said he's just cold-blooded.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Poor kids.
Yeah. Just to say, I did find more recent photos of her children, her daughter getting her driver's license, different stuff like that. the girls look like they're doing really well, but still
Yeah.
losing their mom those milestones without your mom cannot be easy.
Mm-mm.
I didn't include those pictures. I just felt like that was kind of crossing a privacy line, so I didn't want to do that. But according to its official website, the Maryland Heights Fire Protection District encompasses 18 square miles of St. Louis County, Missouri. Doss comes from a family of first responders, with his position as captain previously held by his own father, Robert Doss Sr. The Doss family also owns Liberty Artworks, a local company that makes memorials for the police and the fire department, which Doss Sr. launched in his spare time. What a connection.
Yeah. As recently as September, Dawes was heralded on social media pra- for participating in events like the 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb. And in June of this year, he was quoted in an article about a boy who drowned in Crevecoeur, a tragedy to which his department responded. At a time when our country's first responders have been under fire in the court of public opinion, Grace was a police wife, says her sister Laura. She had this profound respect for law enforcement, had been a police explorer as a teen, and held a degree in criminal justice. She supported guns and houses, stair climbs, and was an active member of the community.
See, Joe, why I was saying earlier, this one's not going to add up quite much either. Her going out like that. She was very involved and knew her way around that equipment as well. I think it's really cool that she was a police explorer.
Yeah.
And this is her when she was younger doing that. That program's really cool. Do you guys have a program like that in your area? Anyone?
I don't know. I never realized they had this kind of program. So I would definitely like to see if they do.
So kids around my area, my brother did it when he was younger. You could be like, I think it was maybe 11 or 12 where you can start. And like when there's parades and stuff, they would dress up in the uniforms and they would go stand out and like guide traffic, and they did little things to help the police. Sometimes they could go on a ride along or,
Yeah.
different things. It is really cool. A really cool program to keep kids that are interested, give them more of a handle on it. Hey, Mandy.
Thank you for coming in, Mandy.
Not here. I like your profile picture, Mandy.
Yeah.
And then this is one of the stair climbs. I didn't know what a stair climb was, but apparently they raised money by wearing their fire equipment and then going up and down stairs like that for a certain amount of time. Pretty cool. No, it is not a part of the Boy Scouts. It is specifically with the police department, and they wear little police uniforms and everything. They don't have a gun or a badge, but they have like real police uniforms that they wear. It's pretty cool. Statistically, wouldn't use a weapon for it, considering her background. It would tend to be pills. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah.
Given her background, I don't think that would have been a way that she would have done it. Plus, she wouldn't have told her daughter she was on her way. No mom would be like, I'll be there to go take you shoe shopping and then choose to do that. You're leaving your kid with that. No mother would do that. Mm-mm.
And he's claiming that he came upon this, right?
Yeah.
Is that how I understood that he wasn't there when it happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Def sounds like she would be someone to Unalive. Oh, doesn't.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, Gnomes and Trucking. Thanks for coming in and hanging out.
Yes, thanks for coming in, Andrew.
In fact, Doss House was full of GUNSs, including the Glock that would ultimately be used to take Grace's life. Around 5:10 a.m. on July 22nd, 2020, Rob Doss called 911, calmly identified himself as a fire captain with Maryland Heights, told the dispatch that Grace had shot herself in the head in front of him. Oh, never mind. Sorry. I was wrong.
Okay.
In front of him. In front of him, yet never mind.
Yet he was calm on the phone.
Despite being a trained first responder, Doss made no attempt to revive Grace, who had been shot through the left frontal lobe from a downward angle. Grace was right-handed, said Laura.
Oh.
So also, okay, this is going to get graphic for a minute, but I watched kind of videos on this. Typically, you would, if you're going to do this, you would be at a level angle with your dominant hand. It was like this. From medical records, it was like this. Ain't nobody standing
how
like
is she supposed
this
to do that? Yeah.
with her non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
So without getting too graphic, that's what that means there. There has to be forensic involved here. It's not that easy to analyze someone in that way and make it look like it was self-induced.
Mhm.
Well, as you can see, it's not
Mhm.
really adding up that it was.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it was. I know it's been a while. I got a decent day done early in Idaho, just a few miles from a delivery in Idaho. So, well, thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Mandy said facts. My father ended his. I'm so sorry, Mandy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an important detail, is that like that doesn't quite add up either. There's just a lot of stuff that's not going to add up. But
Almost immediately, Dawes also called the attorney for the Maryland Heights Fire District, Neil Bruntager, with whom to conferred before providing a signed written statement to the police. Dawes was lauraling up the abuse. When Laura heard Grace had been killed, she immediately thought of the recordings. In the months leading to her death, Grace had been recording Dawes' abuse, believing if she exposed it, she'd been able to get him help. The abuse was escalating and Grace was often covered in bruises, Laura recalls. Grace even played one of the tapes for Dawes to show to him how he treated her without any, I can't see, is that
provocation.
provocation? Her family says this would prove to be a
Tragic mistake.
tragic mistake. Okay.
So, just real quickly here from someone in DV, recording it and thinking that if your significant other maybe just heard themselves, because maybe they didn't realize it. You love them so much, you want to be with them, and they tell you that they're not doing it. So maybe they just don't realize it, or they're so angry they can't realize their behavior. So if you just show them, then maybe they'll hear it and be like, "Oh, I didn't know I do that," and then get the help they need, right?
Yeah.
I know this. I've done this, and it's a mistake. But she did this right before her passing. So, that's not good. Camping therapy. You said, hello, is this man in jail? Well, hello, or has he been charged? Hello and welcome in camping therapy.
Thank you for coming in, Doreen.
And just to recap the beginning of the story, the reason this story is coming up, this happened in 2020, is because this man just recently had another woman end up Unalive with not the same injuries, but in his home. His current fiance on January 13th was found dead. So, no, he has not been charged. Interesting, though, that he lawyered up with the fire department's lawyer right away.
Yeah.
Grace told her family she had even contacted Maryland Heights fired Deputy Chief Medical Officer Mark Russell out of concern for Doss's behavior because he was blowing up at home. That cry for help was ignored, perhaps because Russell is one of Doss's closest friends in the department. Laura shared with Crime Scoop a video Grace had secretly recorded of Doss escalating abuse prior to her death. Doss can be heard and briefly seen berating Grace, who is trying to shield the phone with a blanket. And I think it's interesting that she even reached out at work and was like, hey, maybe he's struggling because of things at work, trying to get him help. So the first event was marked as a yes camping therapy. Hey, PSV.
Thank you for coming in. Okay. It turned, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. She really thought she could get help, says Laura. She thought she could fix him. Grace had even sought counseling for her and Dawes in the week leading up to her death. According to Laura, Dawes controlled every aspect of Grace's life and how she spent her time. He controlled how much gas money she was given, who she could see, and when she could see her children. How many adult friends showed up at her funeral? 0, says Laura. She was no longer allowed to have friendships. Now that is so sad. She was so controlled.
Remember when I said at the beginning about Dr. Sarah Kathleen Sweeney that she had been with him about 2 years and her family said they hadn't spoke to her in 2 years? Kind of sad.
Wow.
Grace's own best friend had severed ties with her shortly before her death. After having dinner with Doss and Grace, Doss also forced Grace to quit her job and instead work for him at his family's business, says Laura. Doss had his staff pay him for her work, but she was never added to Liberty Artworks' payroll. Instead, Doss was paid for her work directly and under the table, says Laura. Before Grace's family had time to process the news of Grace's death, it seemed Doss wanted to pretend she never existed. He immediately purged her social media of any memory of her.
No. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Diane.
Thank you for coming in, Diane.
I agree.
Wow. So he was so controlling he had access to her account.
Oh, yeah.
To do that.
Yeah.
Wow. He no longer lives in the house where Grace died, in which she was painstakingly preparing for sale at the time of her death. Dawes now instead lives in their new house, the house for which Grace picked out floating fireplaces and even the last light fixture. Though the couple had worked hard to renovate the new home after Grace's death, Dawes seems to be telling people around town he's been 1 foot out of his relationship with Grace. The couple were engaged with a marriage license pending when Grace was killed. Now he seems intent on painting her as desperate and delusional instead.
Yeah, he was 1 foot out of the relationship, yet they were building a home together. That
Had a marriage license.
Yeah, and now this article is a little bit older. So again, let's go back to Dr. Kathleen Sweeney, or Sarah Sweeney. She was living in the home that Grace was picking all this stuff out for. She was found dead in the home that Grace did not get the pleasure to move into.
Wow.
This almost reminds me of that case of that cop that killed his 3 wives, right? Dreaming out loud. Hello, hello.
Thank you for coming in, Paula Megan.
In a twist, however, it was revealed Doss was allegedly having affairs with men and women throughout his relationship with Grace, according to his own redacted text messages provided to the police by his attorney. Doss's other actions after Grace's death troubled her family. Doss claimed Grace's engagement ring present at the crime scene was his property. Later, he reported the ring missing and filed an insurance claim explaining the ring found at the scene was in fact a duplicate he had made of her engagement ring.
Oh, man. A piece of work. Recent images of Robert Dallas. Wow.
I usually like to stick around with women whose pay goes to me, right? And then he went, after he dated this woman and controlled every aspect of her life, he moved on to a doctor. I wonder if he killed because she knew something or caught him in the act. Well, she had those videos of him abusing her. He may not have wanted that information out there. I'm not sure. Allegedly, this is all my opinion.
Yeah. And
This
yeah,
is
Katie, he's a shady character indeed.
This is local to me, so I think it's my turn, right? Or no?
I
I think it's mine.
think so.
The ring's disappearance is being investigated by the police as larceny after Grace's family repeatedly. Oh, I think it's yours. Sorry. After Grace's family repeatedly put pressure on the Creve Coeur Police Department to investigate. However, the family is skeptical such an investigation will go anywhere, as the principal witness to verify the ring's ownership, Grace, is dead. Per the prosecuting attorney's office, Doss never reached out to Grace's family nor asked to be a part of her burial. He instead abruptly cut ties with his 4 future stepdaughters and hired an attorney. Members of the Maryland Heights Fire Department were directed not to contact the family. Why would you stay with someone like that?
Yeah.
Because you honestly, because you don't think that that's them. You fell in love with a different person. I'm going to try to explain this really quick. But you fell in love with somebody who love bombed you, right? So in your head, when they start acting this new way, you're like, they have something going on. How can I help them? Because that's not them. That other person that I met was them. So how can I help them get back to who they were? Something's wrong right now with them, and I'm going to stick with them, and we're going to fix it.
Yeah. We
And
can fix it.
And they'll even tell you that. They'll look you in your eyes and go, yeah, I'm just really struggling. This isn't the way I want to behave. Like, thank you, like, for pointing it out to me. I'll work on that. And so you think you're helping them because of who you love. But they have no intention of changing, typically. I think that picture of him walking is right near your house, maybe. Blackmail, or they make you fall so deeply in love that you think, you think you can help them.
Grace Hollins, children visiting Grace's final resting place. Oh.
With my ex, I used to say I was under the influence of him. Yeah.
Attorney Neil Brentrigger called and spoke to Grace's parents about the case. Without ever disclosing he was representing Captain Dawes. 2 days after an exchange between Fire Chief Steve Allswinger and Grace's father, in which her father asked about the investigation into the domestic violence aspects of their relationship. Dawes has yet to be officially interviewed by Creve Coeur Police Department concerning the investigation into Grace's violent death and allegations of domestic violence.
Can you imagine that you're talking to somebody and they're just talking to you and getting like kind of how you feel about it,
Mhm.
about your daughter's passing, and then you find out later that they are the attorney representing the man that did this?
That is just so shady and dirty. I can't believe that. You know, they should have some type of sympathy at least. I would think.
You would think. So Andrew says, I've been in Omaha, Nebraska for 25 years. I'm now in Lincoln, Nebraska. I remember the Dixie Channon case. She killed her husband and left him in the back room for 6 months.
No.
Just so you know, I took a picture of what you just wrote there, and I plan on looking into that case. So that
Yeah.
may be a case we cover here because 6 months? Whoa.
Wow.
I could never put up with that. I wear the trousers in the relationship. Coral said
Cora
I
said,
could.
yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. The original interview tape recorded when he worked on his written statement has inadvertently been destroyed by the Creve Coeur Police Department in violation of Missouri state statutes. Tapes secretly recorded by Doss's biological son of Grace and Doss allegedly arguing have also been destroyed,
Oh,
despite
wow.
assurances by the Maryland Heights police officer, Doss's son's stepfather, that he would maintain them as evidence. So once again, Doss's son recorded stuff, gave it to the police, and then Doss's son's stepdad also works for the police department.
Oh, it's just a circle jerk. It's crazy.
If something don't come out of all this now that there's a second woman,
Yeah. Man. And the blue code of silence. Domestic violence is inherently difficult to report. It's even harder when the abuser is a member of the law enforcement community. And studies have shown that law enforcement officers are statistically more likely to be abusive partners than the general population. There is a non familiar phenomenon called the Blue Code of Silence. And despite Grace Holland's respect and reverence for law enforcement, the code has prevented her family from getting anything approaching justice. It's just a shame.
though Grace was killed in July of 2020, the investigation into her death remains open and unworked, according to Laura, who believes Grace's case is not moving forward because of the influence Doss yields in the local law enforcement community. Laura is not merely an aggrieved sister wielding baseless accusations. She has been carefully and meticulously compiling notes on the various inconsistencies, oversights, and serious conflicts of interest / chain of command violations around her sister's death. Just once again, I want to make sure you guys know this article is an older article. I cannot tell you if the case was like just sat on a shelf and now they're reopening it. This stuff, the second death just happened on January 13th. So I am sure they're looking at things again. But back when this happened, it was at a standstill.
In one recording that was released to the family, a Creve Coeur police detective can be heard on a phone call coaching Dawes on which text messages between he and Grace would be more likely to be evidence consistent with a narrative of suicide. Laura adds she's been contacted by some of Dawes' colleagues offering support, but who are afraid to come forward.
Can't go against the code of the blue.
Mm-mm.
Robert Doss and Grace Holland.
Man.
In an open letter to the Creve Coeur Police Department, Laura, with the assistance of her attorneys and PIS, lays out more than 20 points showing how law enforcement and other responders bungled aspects of the investigation into Grace's death. From their mishandling of the crime scene to losing or failing to collect critical evidence to their treatment of Doss, who was, by his own admission, standing next to Grace when she died. Creve Coeur police informed the coroner's office he was in another room at the time of her death, per the medical examiner's report.
Mm. In my mind, I'm thinking if he was, next to her and during all that, he should have some kind of evidence on him, unless he was able to kind of change his clothing or something. I'm just thinking more into it,
Yeah. I'm wondering what was the deal with the clothing if he was
Yeah.
standing next to her. But according to the report, he was in another room. No wonder he was so calm with 911. He knew nothing would happen.
Yeah.
Yet another reason I think police chiefs need to be elected officials.
Yeah. Right.
The accused in Delphi processes photos at the local CVS drugstore. That Delphi case is crazy.
This is crazy. Yeah. Okay, so Creve Coeur police have failed us at entry level since Grace's death, and their failure to collect evidence means we will likely never get answers, writes Laura in the letter. Experts from the letter have been copied below, including the ways investigators have allegedly mishandled the investigation.
Now, thinking that this article was written before the second person passed, I imagine that they have found a new hope that something will happen, but we'll see. One, they failed to correctly identify an entry versus exit wound, which also means these wounds do not correlate with the position of the body. They misinformed the medical examiner's office as to the location and position of Robert Doss at the moment of her death. He was, by his own admission, standing next to her. 3, they failed to call crimes against persons. 4, they failed to remove friends of Captain Doss from the police investigation. 5, they closed the crime scene before reaching out to family.
Wow. 6, they failed to investigate her stolen property and lied about not investigating it. 7, they allowed Captain Dawes to be present when picking up her property despite saying otherwise to the family. 8, they failed to collect and bag evidence properly, such as bagging her hands, testing Captain Dawes' hands for residue, and collecting his clothing. And 9, they failed to address the large pool of blood on the right side of her head and identifying the cause of that injury.
There was no exit wound. Remember, they didn't identify an exit wound. And if she shot into the left side of her head, why was there a puddle of blood on the right?
Yeah.
That just...
It just appeared.
Yeah, that just hit me.
Yeah.
Gunshot residue tells no lies. Yeah, and they just so happened to not collect any of that. And his clothes?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think if he was there immediately, whether you think he's guilty or not, you would collect that? Ten, they failed to address the bruises on her body shown in the autopsy photographs. 11, they managed to lose multiple video recordings. 12, personal police cell phones were used and not recorded. One officer refused to supply his phone records as part of a Sunshine Law request. 13, they failed to collect Captain Dawes' phones, stating he needed them for work. 14. I was told by Creve Coeur police detective that if I wanted answers, I needed to hire a lawyer.
I can't believe they like just stick together like that, you know?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being one of them that stuck by him during this and now a second woman shows up?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? Dude, you got away with it the first time and now you went and did it again. I ain't standing by you. Because
Mm.
now the investigation's going to look back at all those people that stood by him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Hey, Thrifty Angela.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for just stopping in. Tell the kids to stop growing, would you?
I know. I can't get over how big they are. 15. They extended professional courtesy to Captain Dawes while beyond what any other citizens would be given. 16. If they failed to verify her handwriting in a suicide note written with language outside her recursive writing patterns. 17. They failed to question Captain Dawes at the time and have yet to answer him 14 months, yet to question him 14 months later. And 18, they failed to contact her therapist. 19, Creve Coeur detectives took almost 2 hours to arrive at the crime scene.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Kim, though. Like you said, well, maybe don't stand by a killer because of bro code. That's what I'm saying, though. Can you imagine the guys that stood by him and they're like, dude, I mean, they're in the wrong. Either way, they're in the wrong. But seriously, at some point, they got to be kicking them own selves in the butt and also wanting to kick his butt because he did it. He didn't do it again. Allegedly, maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I would be afraid that they would come after me for standing by him. You know what I mean? Because that's standing next to somebody that I believe did it.
Yeah. So you wonder if the suicide, well, I mean, it says that the patterns weren't correct, but they never had it verified, right? Katie said,
Yeah,
allegedly.
allegedly.
This whole thing is allegedly, okay? Hitch Up and Toast said, oh, it's just a coincidence. Everybody
Yeah.
has two people pass away in their two fiancés. Not even two people, two fiancés pass
Yeah.
away in their home. It's just, nah. I don't believe in the same thing happening twice. It just can't be.
Mm-mm.
Seeking justice, Grace's family has had to take it upon themselves to get answers due to being stonewalled by the police and fire departments. All Grace Holland's family wants is a thorough and unbiased investigation into the death of a woman who wholly supported a community that has turned its back on her. They want investigators to consider the domestic abuse evident in Doss's text messages and the recordings Grace made, as well as the numerous post-mortem injuries detailed in the autopsy report.
Yeah, it is very sad, Katie.
You guys can, the reason I put this here is I want you guys to see, you can go support, you can sign petitions, you can help them get more eyes on this by going to this hashtag right here, whether it be on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever. They are everywhere with this hashtag. So if you're wanting to help them get some justice, sign some petitions, all that stuff, you can follow this hashtag justice for Grace Holland.
Thank you for putting that up there, BB.
Of course, of course. Hope it taught them a lesson. Maybe they should look at pictures of her daughters every day. Mind blowing. So sad. Very sad. Jennifer Delos case. I don't think I've looked into that one either. I bet if you look back on his life, there's some other women. I think he has a lot of power in the community. His whole family does. And I think sadly there ain't nobody going to speak up on him.
Yeah. They want investigators to consider what Grace may have been attempting to expose about a man who maintains a careful and created control over all aspects of his life. As of now, the case remains open and is being classified as a violent death. Laura doesn't have much hope for a satisfying resolution anytime soon. And people tell me to look out for my safety, says Laura, of her ongoing push for the truth to come out, knowing she'll never again have a happy birthday without her twin. Really? What else can he do to me?
And that's sad when you get to the point where you're like, let him come after me. He took the
Yeah.
only person, he took my person. There's
Yeah.
not much more he can do to me. That's so sad.
Yeah.
I've never found 2 unalive fiancés in my home, but I haven't vacuumed in a while.
Oh, wow.
Justice for Dr. Sweeney and Grace Howland.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's the end of it. But right now, there's not a lot out there about if they're going to continue investigating him or where things are going to go. Different news sources, which I just want to throw this out here at the end, different news sources are reporting things a little bit differently, which is very weird to me and leads me to believe that it's who's on the police payroll or the fire department's payroll. Because let me tell you that the area that this happened in is a very high income area. It's one of the rich areas in the St. Louis area. Okay, and now when the fire department or the police go out, then they can tip off the news, right? And the person that gets the first story, gets the best shot will make the best money, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to news people. So with that being said, the news articles right now are some are reporting it in a very honest way, like we just read it. But then there's news articles out there that are saying we don't want to put the captain's name out there because, he hasn't been accused of anything. What? Hasn't been accused of anything? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Have a great night dreaming out loud. So depending on money, once again, that's how the media is reporting it. So unfortunately, because this just happened on January 13th, we don't have a whole lot of updates as to where or if they're reinvestigating him and all of that stuff. We don't know yet. But we will update on this case. I will be looking back into this case.
And we got several more that we were trying to update, but we still haven't gotten answers to. So we may be able to put it all together. But we like to go back to the ones that we want to get conclusions for, and do the updates on them.
I really do. That's another thing, Kim, I don't understand is how the FBI or someone outside of his police department has not gotten involved yet.
Yeah.
That may be something that's going to happen now. No one wishes death upon anyone else, right? But with this new current death, it may lead to an investigation into Sarah Sweeney or into Grace Howland's death that they were not going to get, because Grace's happened in 2020 and there had been no movement on it, and we're in 2024. So this may push for a bigger look into things. It's like Murdoch. Yes, it is much like the Murdoch case. Very well connected, wealthy families.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was a good case, Phoebe. And I knew nothing about it, so I'm glad that you brought it to the storyline here.
Well, I am glad you enjoyed it and it was able to give you a little something that you didn't have knowledge on before. I know you've been wanting that. I will say putting these stories together is harder for me than I thought it would be. I am not an editor. You are. You are great at putting everything together in slideshows. I can make a backdrop. I can do what do they call graphic design?
Uh-huh.
Like images. I can graphic design images. I am not good at video editing. Not at all. Have you read the story on Sean Williams from Johnson City, Tennessee? No,
No.
I have not. The rich can get things swept under the
Yeah.
rug. That's what it feels like happened in this case.
Yeah.
Now, I have gotten very much more careful with what I'm saying. I'm such a small little YouTube channel over here. I really am. I'm just a tiny little YouTube channel. But I was reading to Nettie the other day that one of my cases, it was a couple weeks ago, Nettie, where I saw the
Uh-huh.
comments and I was like, oh, one of the cases I covered, the family was in my comments.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I handled this respectfully. I hope they're not mad at me.
I know.
But I mean, they weren't mad. They were just expressing kind of their stuff. One of their kids, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then like an aunt or something. But it's crazy that your content when you're this small can actually reach people. So anyone that may be watching this, if you're still here and you related to this case, I hope I did it justice and I in no way mean disrespect.
Yeah.
I think you've done a great job, baby. Well, thank you, Hitch Up and
Yeah.
Toe. Yeah. So, and like I said, make sure you guys go and do your own research on these cases.
Mhm.
If you think they're interesting and you want to know more about it, go research. Look him up. Huge cop cover up to all his dirty deeds.
Wow.
Wow, camping therapy.
Yeah.
I will. Let me take a picture of that.
Yeah.
Into that case too. Because
Yeah, we appreciate that. Anybody that wants us to do a story, please do what Camping Therapy and others have done. Put it in the comments, or even if you in a chat or in a comment or an email to us. We do like covering the stories that you want us to check into.
Katie, you were quick on that. You got it before I could even screenshot it. So thank you. Katie texted the name of the.
Woohoo! Go, Katie.
Thank you for that. All right. Well, next week we'll be back with some paranormal, spooky, ghosty stuff.
We like to rotate.
Yeah. Every other week we
Yeah.
do true crime, and every other week we do paranormal. So come back next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time for some paranormal. And once again, thank you guys all for joining us and hanging out. I love Sunday Fun Day. I hope you have an amazing week. Much love.
And we're sending love your way. Good night, y'all.
Bye, everyone.